Before My Heart Gives Out on AO3 by Kira 18. Chapter 3. Make a Difference. Time went by as Izuku recovered. He talks and reacts more, the light in his eyes is ever so slowly returning. The blankness in his expression was fading away with every scroll he'd take in the courtyard with Ryu. Their outings had been a daily occurrence, the bond between them growing with every passing second. The man managed to get through the boy's thick walls, and was slowly saving Izuku from drowning in his own bitterness and sadness. These past few weeks, they learned a lot about each other. Izuku learned that Ryu used to be an underground hero before his retirement. He lost his sight a long time ago, while he was on one of his patrols. A fire had erupted in one of the apartment complexes on his route. However, the incident didn't stop him from staying a hero. He worked hard, trained, learned to adapt, and he managed to save so many people because of his determination and hard work. He later retired when his age was no longer suited for hero work. However, Ryu couldn't stay forever, and tried to see Izuku whenever he could. Yet, in the short time they spent together, the man lit a fire in Izuku. His dream didn't seem so far of reach anymore. The man promised Izuku to train him. He will help him hone his skills and senses, and teach him how to fight and defend himself. Ryu will help Izuku see that his blindness isn't something that may hinder him. He will learn how to use it in his favor. It would require a lot of hard work, but Izuku is prepared to do anything to accomplish his dreams. Life was short. Izuku knew that all too well. He was going to make a difference and save as many people as he could, even if it took all of his time and energy. He will become a hero. The training was going relatively well. Miss Luna granted him permission to go out every day before noon. He would wake up early and go for a run. One day, he stumbles into Dagoba, a municipal beach. He remembers going there as a child with his mother. It was beautiful there, a great contrast from the trash-filled beach it is now. Mountains upon mountains of trash were scattered everywhere. That day, he decided that part of his training would consist of cleaning it. He couldn't see the beach's beauty anymore, but maybe, just maybe, he could grant the others this opportunity. His mother would have loved it. Soon enough, it became something of a routine for him. On weekdays, he would go through his usual exercise and training, while cleaning the beach on weekends. Rue would give him martial arts lessons along with other weapons and self-defense training. Those self-defense exercises consisted of intense sessions where he'd have to focus all of his senses on his reflexes and awareness. He trained for hours on end. At the end of the day, he came back to the orphanage, half dead. However, with the bone-deep exhaustion came a satisfaction he wouldn't trade for the world. He finally has something to live for, to work hard and fight for. As the days passed by, he realized just how much his powers have changed him. His reflexes were enhanced, his senses were extremely amplified along with his flexibility and balance. One day, while doing parkour training with Ryu, he realized just how easy, how right, it felt to jump from roof to roof, to scale the buildings of Masafu, as if they were his own little jungle gym. The city quickly became his playground. Yet, training his enhanced senses didn't always lead to good things, because training made his range expand. Every night, he'd lay in bed, sleep forgone entirely as he tried to shut off his brain, to make them stop. The screams, the endless call for help, afraid and desperate for someone, anyone to save them. He could hear their pleas, their dying screams, their wishes for a hero to save them. Unfortunately, heroes never came to their rescue. Izuku learned at a young age that heroes didn't always save the day. They couldn't save everyone. It was so painfully true. His mother's death was living proof of that, after all. Izuku swore then and there that he would become a hero that would save the people that were left behind, the people the heroes couldn't get to. He would do it no matter what. After a few months of training, Izuku mustered up the courage to finally tell his mentor about his plans. At first, when Izuku brought up his plans of becoming a vigilante, Ryu immediately shut him down. He was a hero, after all. He wasn't going to encourage going against the law. Why would you want to do that? It's illegal, Midoriya. You'd be no better than the villains. You don't understand. I want to be a hero. I need to be a hero, but I can't. I just... What do you mean you can't? Of course you can. You're the smartest and kindest person I know. And with the training we're doing, you'll be ready for whatever the hero course has in store for you. Why do you want to resort to the crime? His exclaims were cut short by Izuku shouting. The boy had never risen his voice before. I'm dying, okay? I can't be a hero. I'll be dead by the time I graduate. And it would all be for nothing. I can't. Can't you see? I need this. What's the point of me surviving? Of my mother dying for me? I can't amount to anything if I die anyways. The raw emotion in his student's voice made his heart clench. He'd never seen the broken boy. Fuck. Okay. Change up the words. The raw emotion in his student's voice made his heart clench. He'd never seen the boy this broken before. What do you mean you're dying? He asked carefully, dread pulling in his gut at the mere thought of this child's life ending. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you before. The doctors have said the chemicals that got into my system the night of the accident are slowly killing me, destroying my cells one by one. They say I have until my 18th birthday, before my organs shut down for good. Izuku's voice is strangely devoid of emotion as he informs Ryu about his sickness. It's unsettling, to say the least, to see this boy, this child, that he'd come to consider his own, talk about his own death in such a manner. Without another word, the man hugged the kid, sorrow and sadness filling his inside as he tried to remain strong for his student. Okay, he finally said, voice firm and steady, despite his inner turmoil. Okay? The boy asked, hesitantly. Okay, I'll train you. I'll help you become a vigilante. Ryu clarified, internally promising to stick by the boy, no matter what. His training went on for 2 years. By then, he could take on relatively anyone in a fight, thanks to his analysis and his fighting abilities. Ryu trained him with many weapons, but one of his favorites was eskrima rods. He learned long ago how to use his blindness to his advantage. He'd focus all his senses on his opponent, focusing on every detail he could get, quickly analyzing their quirk along with their weaknesses, even as to predict their movements by the slightest change of posture or demeanor. On his 12th birthday, Ryu gifted him a new walking stick. What was so special about that, you may ask? That particular walking stick consisted of a detachable and retainable Remo rods, armed with a mechanic that can turn it into a sword if needed, and charged with an electrical stunt setting. By now, the beach was long empty of its trash. Izuku's hands suffered from it, but the end result was truly mesmerizing. He could finally smell the ocean on his morning runs, hear the laughter of the children as they played on the sand, and feel the easy atmosphere that settled on the beach. It was all worth it. Izuku hit the ground with a heavy thud, wheezing as his breath got knocked out of him. His head spun as he tried to regain his composure. 2 years had passed since Izuku met Ryu that fateful day. The now familiar voice of his mentor brought his attention back to the sparring match. Quickly rising to his feet, Izuku tried to form some kind of plan to win against his mentor. The man had decades of experience and a powerful stealth quirk that also gave him a form of ultra vision in order to defeat him. Izuku needed to be both stronger, faster, and extremely focused. Given that without being able to hear or sense his opponent, Izuku would be fighting blind. Using everything he had learned until now, the boy charges at the man. He can feel the way his opponent's heart rate speeds up as he prepares to move, feeling the slightest shift of air and sensing the other's movements. He knows how the man will choose to counter next. He easily ducks under the incoming kick and swipes the man's leg from under him. Ryu falters, but swiftly regains his bearings and goes in for another hit. However, Izuku knew how to counter his hits now. He'd rushed in swiftly, taking his mirror rods out. He hits the man in both the stomach and knees. Using the momentum, the greenette jumps up. His enhanced flexibility and the years of training allowed him to perform a perfect somersault round kick, all in approximately 2 seconds, and the match was ended. His teacher was overwhelmed by the fury of his hits, getting sent back, tumbling to the ground. His hands rising to clutch at his abused cheek and stomach. However, despite the obvious pain the man is in, Izuku can feel the way his breathing is slightly different. He's not talking about weaseling breath, nor the irregular heartbeat from the adrenaline rush either. He's referring to the grin the man has plastered on his face, the proud smile he's currently sporting. Because in those 2 years, this is the first time Izuku had managed to win in one of their sparring matches. This is the first time Ryu has ever been defeated in over 3 years. The man clambers to his feet and approaches his student. Izuku shifts nervously from foot to foot, too anxious to actually say anything. However, he doesn't have to, because the man does it for him. "I think you're ready now, kid." Izuku's breath hitches because these words, albeit short and simple, mean everything to him. Because he's been training for years, putting his all in preparing himself and readying himself to do what he always wanted to do, become what he always wanted to be. He can't help the slight shake of his shoulders, nor the tears that trail down his unseeing eyes, as he finally gets to do what he's been yearning to do since that accident. He will finally be able to do something, anything to help, to put an end to the desperate screams at night, those cries for help. He'll finally be able to make a difference. His life, despite inevitably having to be cut short, will mean something. He'll be able to leave his mark in this world. He feels the familiar grip of his mentor on his shoulder, firm and steady. A gesture meant to reassure him that everything will be okay, that he'd work hard for this, and that he deserved it. For once in his life, Izuku believed it. "So, where are we going?" Izuku asked as he tried to follow the man to the best of his capabilities as they sped walk to whatever place they were going to. It must be pretty weird for the other people, seeing 2 blind individuals basically running through the streets. "You'll find out when we get there," Ryu replied in his usual deadpan voice. However, Izuku noticed the way his heart rate is slightly faster. The man certainly doesn't seem like it, but he is apparently excited. Izuku just hopes that whatever the man has in store for him, it will go well. So, lost in thought, Izuku doesn't notice when the man abruptly stops walking. This leads to his full-on collision with Ryu's back. His extensive training and enhanced abilities are the only thing keeping him from falling. "Oi, kid, pay attention, we're here." The mentor sighs in exasperation. Midoriya takes a moment to scan the area. They're standing in front of an abandoned warehouse. At first glance, It looks relatively normal and deserted. However, when he focuses, Izuku can feel the flow of electricity humming through the walls. Maybe a storage space of some kind? Why did Rue bring him here? He doesn't get to ponder on the thought because Rue is already stepping inside. So Izuku, I'm not going to be around forever. I'm going to have to go back to America soon. The man says, offhandedly. Yes, Izuku knows that. Rue told him a couple months earlier that at the end of their training, he was going back to America. He has people there counting on him after all. Izuku would be lying if he said that didn't hurt. Knowing that, in a few weeks, he'll be back to being on his own. However, he couldn't always rely on Rue. He needed to be able to do this on his own. Still, I wasn't going to leave you before I made damn sure that you were prepared. So, he paused as he slowly opened the door. This is my old operation base. Underground heroes don't always get to join agencies. I use it for storage now. However, I'm going to be heading to America anyways, so I thought that it would better serve a purpose for you. Izuku's eyes widen, comedically as he realized the implications. Do you mean that? Yep, it's yours, kid. Ryu replies, casually, as if this wasn't a big deal at all. But I couldn't possibly. You've already done so much for me. I can't take anything more from you. Izuku exclaims, incredulously and confused, dripping from every word. Nonsense, kid. You deserve it. You're my student. It's only logical to help you. This way, you'll have a place to go to train, prepare, and plan outings. You're gonna need a place to hide your gear and your costume after all. Izuku may be blind, but the grin on his mentor's face is painfully clear as he rumbles through a supply closet and pulls out a duffel bag. Costume? Izuku whispers in disbelief as he catches the bag, trying not to squeal in excitement. Yep, I asked one of my old connections to make you one. It's made of reinforced shock-absorbing fabric, accompanied by 2 shoulder holsters for your extremo rods and support pouches for your gear. The rest is up to you to make, though. I didn't want my friend to realize who you are. Anyways, the support gear is also in there. I also added my contact number. He owes me a favor, so anything you need, you contact him. He already provided you with some throwing knives, smoke, and flashbang grenades. I even got him to add some quirk suppressant strings. He declares, nonchalantly as he throws Izuku some of the mentioned needles. Oh my god. Izuku finds himself, once again, overwhelmed and speechless, because this man standing before him has done so much for him. He had been there, a light in the darkness. Rue stood by him through everything. He's been there when nobody else was. He made Izuku believe again. He led him to hope. Even gave his dreams a chance. Trained him and wasted so much time on his growth. Now once again, the man outdid himself, giving Izuku a safe place to work and the protection he needs to do so. Thank you, Rue. Tears slipped down his face, despite his attempts to hold it in. Before he could stop himself, he rushes at his teacher and engulfs him in a bear hug. Crybaby. Izuku hears Rue mumble under his breath. However, the words are filled with such fondness that it makes Izuku cry even harder. Now that he had the right training and the right gear, he was ready. He could do this. Izuku was going to make a difference. Oh my god, this chapter didn't make me cry? Shocker. Oh my god, not clickbait? Okay, so this chapter was emotional, but it wasn't to the point where I was gonna cry or anything. I do find the whole thing with Rue very, very interesting and stuff. The author did message me over there on AO3, and I did get informed that Rue is a big part of the story, so I don't think he's just gonna be a once-in-a-lifetime stuff, so I need to figure out his voice, because as, maybe some of you saw, his voice changed. It went from, whatever I had it as before, which I forgot what I had it as before, to a mixture of Toshinori and Aizawa's voice. I don't know. I think I'm gonna keep it with the mixture of Toshinori's and Aizawa's voice. It makes sense. Izuku's two prominent mentors and, you know, the My Hero Academia main, mixing together to make the voice of Izuku's mentor in this fanfiction, which, you know, I thought it would make sense. Also, a little thing that I wanted to add and say, I made the choice to have Izuku's voice no longer be his childish voice that I gave him, instead being an adult Izuku. Not adult Izuku, but his regular voice that I normally have him as. And I made that for a specific reason, because I feel like in this chapter we do truly see that Izuku is no longer a child. He's forced to grow up super freaking quick because of, you know, everything that happened. So he no longer is quote-unquote a child. He is a child, but he's not a child who's allowed to be a child, if, you know, you get my drift. You get what I mean? He is forced to grow up fast, because he doesn't have much time. He doesn't have the luxury of time. So, yeah. I can't wait to see more of this. I really can't wait to see more of this. I want to see everything. Like, I know I initially started this series because I knew it was like a shindeku fic, or like, I was pretty sure it was a shindeku fic and stuff, but it was like, okay, love it, amazing, wonderful. I no longer am reading it just for the shindeku. I'm reading it for the Dadzawa as well, and I'm mainly just reading it because the way the author, Kira18, is writing this, it really makes you hit the feels. It hits you with the feels. It hits you in the fucking gut. Like, do not get me wrong, this chapter did not make me cry, but it still hit in the feels. Right? Just not enough to make me cry. Thank you very much. We need breathers. This is not like a, oh, this chapter didn't make me cry, boo. This is a, thank you. This chapter didn't make me cry. Thank you. We're gonna need breaks, because I'm pretty sure other chapters are gonna probably make me cry. Probably the chapters in like the ending, towards the end, where, you know, the inevitable major character death happens, and, you know, Izuku happens. I'm probably gonna sob. Probably gonna cry. Probably gonna bawl my eyes out. You know, just bawling, just sobbing. So, we need breathers. Thank you very much. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.